Welcome back, everybody, to the Carlette Christmas Show. This morning, we're talking about breast cancer awareness, knowing what's normal so that you know what's not normal. And as we've already talked about, the importance of getting your yearly mammogram. Well, our guests this morning are two incredible women that are filled with joy and hope as they fight and as they win the battle of breast cancer. Bridget Ardoin and Betsy Lanclos. Ladies, good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
First, let me just start by saying thank you guys for sharing your story. Like, I just met Betsy this morning, met Bridget earlier, a few months ago,
Yep.
and your joy was the first thing that just jumps out there at you. Tell us about, first of all, Bridget, when you got diagnosed.
I was diagnosed on June 30th, and I'd found a lump in my breast during a self-breast exam. So the 5th of every month, I would do.
Why the 5th?
I don't know. That just stuck with me. It was the 5th of
Is that when your
month.
period, is your period usually
No.
on or off? Or
No, it's just
just a number.
a number. And
Oh,
I
that's
was
a-
and it
that's
was an
good.
easy one to remember, you know.
Mhm.
So I'm like, okay. So I found it on May 5th, actually. And it took that long to be from finding it May 5th until June 30th to be actually diagnosed. And the process was going to a breast specialist in Baton Rouge and getting a mammogram, getting biopsy. So that's a huge time.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long time.
You think?
Yes.
From the 5th to the end of the month is a long time?
No. From May 5th
To
until
June 5th.
30th.
Oh, June 30th. But still, that's,
That's a lot, because I knew as soon as I
you
found
you just knew.
I knew. So I had that time to process internally.
So what did you say to yourself? You just said, I know this
I
is.
know this is cancer.
Do you have a family history?
I do, believe it or not, I do not. My sister had breast cancer and is a survivor, thank God. But her breast cancer wasn't, like, she didn't have the gene. It was triple negative. So they say that's not a familiar, you know, but still, she's had it. She's had it and she beat it. So, but as soon as I was like, oh, I knew. And I said, maybe it's just my cycle. And 3 weeks later, I'm like, all right, let me just, I don't know, it's still there. I was like, don't know. It's
Were you
still there.
scared?
I was very matter of fact. I'm like, okay, well, this is just, God's going to use this for good. Okay. And I was worried about the logistics of having cancer and the chemo and the this and the that. And I was more worried about telling my family and friends. Like, I was like, I've got this. Like, I can go to battle. But, you know, I was worried about telling my husband and my family, you know, just going, how am I going to break that to them? That was my biggest fear, to be 100% honest.
Wow. And so for you, Betsy, how was your journey into, because oddly enough, and it's not God, we know it's divinely enough, you guys, your stories and when you were diagnosed is so directly and closely correlated that it's like God just divinely connected you guys to walk this journey together.
Definitely. I just went for my yearly mammogram in May, and they called me back and were like, we need to do some more testing on you.
What'd you think? Because nobody wants that call back.
Nobody wants that call back. I knew that I had what they call dense breasts from previous
I do too.
mammograms.
I do too.
That's in the printout every year. It tells
Mine
me I have
too.
dense breasts.
Yeah.
So my first thought was maybe it's just the dense breast tissue, because they wanted to do an ultrasound on me.
Did you hear that, like, Katie Couric she got diagnosed too, and
Right.
that's when her, she has that same dense breast thing.
Yeah. But even when I went for, I had an ultrasound, and then they wanted to do a biopsy on me. And when they did my breast biopsy, the radiologist was like, most of the time the biopsies come back negative, and I kind of thought, you shouldn't really say that because
Uh-huh.
that doesn't happen for everybody. But
Did you have a feeling though when you
I did kind of. I had a feeling because I'd never been called back for further testing before, and my mom had a history of breast cancer, so I kind of thought, well, I'm a lot younger than she was when she was diagnosed.
when was she diagnosed?
She was diagnosed when she was 59.
And you're 44.
Right.
And Bridget, you're 42.
42.
Wow. And so when they do the biopsy, how long does it take for it to come back?
I think I was told it would be back in about a week.
Oh.
So
Is your mom still
my mom is deceased now, but she did not die from breast cancer.
okay? So now do you have the conversation with your family? Could this be breast cancer? You know, mom had breast cancer.
My husband understood it could be because he's a nurse practitioner, and he understood, what
Exactly what was going on.
was with me, when I had everything going on. And then when I went to the gynecologist's office to get the results back, like I knew he was going to tell me it was breast cancer. I wasn't surprised.
How did you know?
I just had a feeling, even when I went for the mammogram that time, I kind of thought, I don't know. I wasn't surprised when I was called back for further testing. It didn't surprise me one way or the other.
And so y'all you and Bridget got diagnosed right around the same time. And so how do you both come up with the course of treatment? What are those conversations like, with your doctor and your family?
I just decided I was going to do whatever I needed to do, to get through this. And I guess my philosophy has been, it is what it is.
Wow.
I've not like really broken down significantly over it because I do have a nursing degree, so I understood from the get-go what I needed to do. I didn't like dwell on it. I just thought, okay, I'm 44 years old. I want to live for my family.
Right.
So I'm going to do what they tell me to do.
Wow. And same for you, Bridget?
Yeah, I think I always say I don't need to know how the sausage is made.
You
know what I mean?
Right.
My husband
I like that.
Oh, this is the first chemo drug you're going to be on, and this and that. And I was like, I don't care. They went to school forever. They've been doing this, just whatever. And I'm very, very, I really trust my medical team. I really trust them, because when my breast surgeon came in to tell me, she walks in, she's a little mighty lady, and we call her the General. That's not her real name. Dr. Coons in Baton Rouge. She walked in and said, this is a breast cancer. And I said, okay. And she said, I'm going to give you a minute, and then I'll come back in. And she came back in with this pink folder, this pink binder. Did you get one?
Yeah.
And she sat down and opened it up, and that was the battle plan. First,
The battle plan.
Yes. First, we're going to do chemo.
Mhm.
Okay. Then after chemo, we're going to do a surgery. And then after that surgery, we're going to do radiation. And that's mopping up all the cancer cells. And then we'll rebuild. And so I felt so confident, like this strong woman. And she's a woman of faith as well, you know. And she's like, this is what we're going to do. And I'm like, okay. She said, do you have any questions? I said, nope.
Let's get to it.
Yeah.
Let me get a break here, but when we come back, we'll talk about faith, hope, and winning the battle of breast cancer. Stay with us. We're back with more right after this. Welcome back, everybody, to the Carlette Christmas Show. This morning, we're talking about breast cancer awareness and what we all need to know about our bodies as women. Now, we know that the statistics say that 1 in 8 women in their lifetime will be stricken by breast cancer, but it doesn't have to be a death sentence. When diagnosed early, we know that our chances of survival and thriving are so much greater. Our guests this morning, Bridget Ardoin and Betsy Lanclos. They're here to tell us about their journey and their story and how they have become sisters from other mothers through this process. And so during the break, we were talking, and we were talking about, your families and what that looked like. And you have a daughter, Betsy, and she's 20 years old. And you said she did not take it well.
No, she didn't take it well at all.
And so what was that conversation like? Because did she then start to internalize, will I eventually get breast cancer
I think
too?
she did, but I had the genetic testing done, and it
Mhm.
showed that it was not genetic. Even though my mom and a great aunt had breast cancer, it still was not considered genetic. And I
Mhm.
think that made her feel better. But she sees what I'm going through with treatment and that I'm doing extremely well on
Mhm.
chemotherapy.
Mhm.
And I think that's made a world of difference for her.
Mhm.
I'm surprised because she's actually listened when I've gone to the doctor, and she can tell you what type of cancer I have, what's going on. And she's told some of our friends, like, she won't let me answer when people ask questions. She starts answering, and she's correct in what she's given out for
Uh-huh.
information. It's made her decide to learn more about it, and she's very much an advocate for me.
Awesome. And for you, Bridget, when you shared with your family, how did they process it?
I think my husband was upset, but I was like, babe, we got this. Like, we got this. We're not gonna.
How did you know? How have you guys been so confident? Was it early detection? Was it, the doctors?
I know for me, I think I have a great team of doctors.
Mm-hmm.
When I first went to my breast surgeon, she walked in the room, sat down across from me, put her hand on my knee, and she said, "We've got this."
Wow.
And that impressed me, and she really impressed my husband and my daughter both too.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And you just believed her.
I did believe her, and I just feel that every doctor I have come in contact with through this journey, they're just very compassionate. They seem to know what they're doing. I
Mm-hmm.
have complete faith that they'll take me through and
Mm-hmm.
get me through it.
And when we talk about faith, you guys happen to be members of the same church and had never met each other until you met at chemo. How does your faith, carry you through?
I think if I didn't have faith, I wouldn't be as positive as I am.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I think I'm on every prayer list I can think of. I'm on
Mhm.
prayer lists from out of state. That just means the world to me that people I don't even know are praying for me.
Mhm.
And I think without prayer, I have nothing, so
Were you a person of prayer before this?
yes, very much so.
Mhm. And so after you get diagnosed, do you kind of ask God why?
I knew that God was going to use this. I knew that. I remember, this sounds weird, but I remember being at a bonfire with some of my friends, and I said, yeah, just a couple years ago, I said, yeah, God's got one more big thing for me. And so I think it's this, and I think it's
Wow.
to be like, just shout from the rooftops, take care of yourself, early detection, breast exams, get your mammograms, So I think that's just how I felt. And, with Betsy saying about the prayer lists and everybody,
Mhm.
I mean, a wise woman who also fought the breast cancer fight and beat it, she said, Bridget, cancer gives and it takes. It
Wow.
takes and it gives. And
Wow.
so I have never in my life felt the amount of love from my family, from my definitely my friends, and just people have like climbed mountains and put my name on like a prayer pedestal.
Wow.
And then just yesterday we were we had to run into the mall, and this car pulls up, two young beautiful women, and they were like, and I didn't have my hair on, and I didn't, I looked very cancery, okay?
Mhm. Very cancery.
And they go, can we come hug you?
Oh.
It's breast cancer awareness. You have breast cancer, don't you? And these two young girls get out and just they said, can we hug you? And I said,
And
yep.
you're a great hugger.
And
so.
I was like, and I gave her a hug, and I gave him a hug, and I said, I know y'all are young, but come 25, please, come 35, get your mammograms, take care of yourself, tell your moms, tell your grandmas, tell your aunts, you know. And it was just really, you know, my husband is just like, just laughs, you know. He's like, it's so you know.
Wow.
So.
Where do y'all think that joy has come from? Is it just the Spirit of the Lord?
Yeah,
I think so.
yeah.
So is there any talk, like, so within your treatment, are you considering having mastectomies? Yes, no? What are your doctors saying about that?
You go first.
Okay.
What's funny is Betsy and I have the same medical oncologist, and our breast surgeons are
They're partners in the same office.
And y'all didn't know each other?
No.
Oh,
and
wow.
then we have different plastic surgeons, but Betsy can go first because she actually went to her plastic surgeon.
Okay. My breast surgeon, she is hilarious. Like, I think that does a world of good for me. She is just hilarious at what she says. You never know what's going to come out of her mouth. And she is actually one of those doctors that will call you at home. And I had a PET CT scan one day, and they were checking to make sure the cancer hadn't gone anywhere besides my breast. Well, she calls me up and she goes, "You're lucky it's just in your breast, but your left breast lit up like a Christmas tree on the scan." And I'm like, okay, thank you. I really didn't know what
that
say.
meant or what
Right.
that meant.
So I have to have a mastectomy. Like, there's no choice because my the type of cancer I have, it's like
What type of cancer is it?
invasive ductal carcinoma.
Okay.
And it's like more than one tumor. They're kind of like linked together. And the size of it like when you add it all together, the size is too big to just do a lumpectomy. So I don't have a choice but to have a mastectomy.
Are you going to do both?
I'm going to do both, even though it's not genetic. And they're saying that there's a low chance of getting it in your other breast. I'm like, I am that person where things that you say aren't going to happen can happen.
I am that
So
3%.
I want to do both because I've already had a stroke before.
You had a stroke?
Yes, I had a stroke before. Like, I told my gynecologist, I'm like, apparently I just want to get everything out of the way in my 40s. So
what was the stroke? What do we know why the stroke happened?
I'd been under a lot of stress. Like, both my parents had died 3 months apart, and I had a handicapped brother that came and lived with us for 2 years and stuff. So probably
It just
piled
on.
Yeah, I had like blood pressure through the roof and stuff. So
Did you know
that I
had blood pressure through the roof?
No.
Because you know it's the silent.
Right.
So you never thought, there was never like a sign like headaches or something?
No.
Nothing.
No.
And then just one day you just have a stroke?
I had what they call hypertensive crisis first, and then I had a stroke a couple of months later. I was medicated on blood pressure medicines and stuff when I had the stroke. The stroke came out of the blue after the hypertensive crisis. So,
Wow, you're already a living miracle.
right.
Let me get a break here. When we come back, we'll have more of Bridget and Betsy's story. Stay with us. We're back right after this. Welcome back, everybody. It is such a joy not to talk about breast cancer, but to be in the presence of women who have come together to say, not only are we going to fight, but we're going to win. And they're sharing their stories with all of us so that we know what's normal and not normal. And what struck me and strikes me, I think more than anything, are your ages, 42, 44. And we're seeing a large contingent of even younger women in their 20s that are finding or being diagnosed with breast cancer. And so for you, Bridget, now you're going to have a double mastectomy, Betsy, but what did your doctor say about yours?
Same. The numbers are the same. It's 3% chance that if you do a double mastectomy, you have 3% chance lower of having a reoccurrence in the other breast.
Okay.
So I'm like, I would be that 3%. So if they let me, I want to choose a double mastectomy.
because I will be that 3%. I'm also choosing to have a complete hysterectomy because my cancer is hormone driven. So I want to remove the ovaries.
Wow.
And I also am going to remove my cervix and my uterus because uterine cancer can come later on in some cases. So I'm like, look, while you're in there, let's.
That's a lot of major surgery.
It is a lot of major surgery, but the peace of mind it's going to give me is worth it. I feel like it weighs. I don't want to have to do this again. I will if I have to, you know, but if we can like eliminate that, then I would love to, you know. And so what's good is I've already met with a gynecologist who agreed. And I also, I meet with my plastic surgeon on Monday.
So both of you gonna have implants after?
No, I have enough fat to go around, so
Exciting. Okay.
You're a mess.
They can actually take your fat and make your
Yes.
breasts out of that. Because I wouldn't want implants. You know, I'm like,
So it's not like the saline. They're just gonna take some of your body.
Yes.
right.
And
Yes.
Really?
Because implants you're supposed to change
Every 10 years.
I won't do that. I know I won't. So I was just not going to have anything until I knew about this, and I go, oh, sure,
Right.
we can do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And so tell me about when you guys met at chemo.
You were there first.
Okay, I was there earlier that day, and when I went in the chemo room, everybody was a whole lot older than me,
Uh-huh.
and
A lot of maturity.
Yes, a lot of
A lot
maturity.
of wisdom.
And I know they had a hard time accessing my port because I had just gotten it less than 48 hours before, so there was swelling, and they were trying to work with me. And I heard two of the elderly people complaining about they were spending all their time on me.
Are you
So the
serious?
nurses were, and I thought, this is chemo. I don't think we should be complaining, but I didn't say anything. And after about an hour, Bridget walks in, and I thought, well, she looks young. So you don't want to like be looking around at chemo for a friend necessarily, but I was thinking
I need a
I should
friend.
talk to her.
Were you just naturally a friendly person? Because I know Bridget is, but was it like an easy thing for you to just go up to Bridget?
It was pretty easy. She sat down next to me and we started talking. And I'm not quite as bubbly as she is, but we exchanged phone numbers that day, and now we text every day asking how are you from
Every
your
day.
treatment.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Every day.
we're always
Every
checking
day.
in.
Yep.
So are there a lot of similarities, you know, that you guys are experiencing in the process of your chemo?
We're on the exact same treatment plan.
The exact same. It's weird. We have chemo
Wow.
on the same day. It's really cool.
It's same type of chemo, everything.
So have you guys been sick from it? How has the chemo process been?
It's not as bad as I thought it would be. I thought it would just be horrible, being bedridden, you know,
Yes.
a lot of nausea, a lot of vomiting.
Nothing?
Have not had
I
that.
bought like sick buckets for every room in my house, and I haven't gotten sick once. You know,
Really?
My first Red Devil was my first one was like, oh my gosh. But if you hydrate, don't you think?
Yes.
You drink like
I drink a ton of water.
she drinks. If you hydrate, it
Mhm.
makes it very bearable. And they know what they're doing.
Yes.
Don't you? Like, you can call and go, hey, I have they're like, okay, we got it. You know, and they're great. They are.
So when will you guys, since y'all are on the exact same treatment, will you finish at the exact same time?
December 7th.
God willing.
Both
Yes.
of you?
Yes, as long as there's no complications
Yes.
and blood counts stay what they need to be.
Our big thing is they take our blood before they give us chemo to make sure our white blood cells are high enough to tolerate the chemo, and we have been very lucky.
Yes.
Both of us.
Hmm. And so what is having, and for you, Betsy, it's like you really have seen the power of God in your life. And I'm sure you both have, but you know, you have a stroke and you recover from that, and then you get cancer. What does it do for the way that you value life? Because sometimes we can take living, sadly, for granted.
I don't really feel that I take anything for granted anymore. I mean, like I said, when I got diagnosed, I didn't have a hissy fit over it. I just kind of roll with the punches, I guess. My
Hissy fit, I hadn't heard that in a long time.
I mean, I think my theme is, it is what it is. You know, when you get told these things, you just
It is what it is.
kind of roll with the punches and go. You
Right.
know, there's no time to sit there and stomp around and complain about it. It doesn't get you anywhere complaining.
Absolutely. For you, Bridget, has it made life more precious to you, you think?
I think so. And I think, you know, you asked us earlier about what gives us this joy. I have a really good life. I have an amazing family, an amazing friend group. And I feel like cancer has just highlighted that for us, you know, and just realizing every day is a gift. Every day is a gift, you know. And when I tell you, I feel like it's brought me closer to my family. I'm very grateful. I'm just very, very grateful.
Wow. We're grateful that you guys took the time to share your hope and your joy. Because, you know, when we think about any kind of cancer, our mind immediately goes to death. But you guys speak to life, and life more abundant, and spreading that hope and that joy. So we're going to follow you guys, and December 7th, we want to see you right back here, and we want to find out what's next. Thank you guys so much for sharing.
Thank you for having us.
It was easy, wasn't it, Betsy?
It was.
Hey, everybody, stay with us. We're back right after this.